Hey guys, tonight we're doing something peculiar. You've clicked on a story about a radio repair shop, but not just any dusty little hole in the wall. No, this one only opens when it rains, literally. Dry day, locked tight, storm clouds, neon sign flickers like it's the 80s again. And tonight, you're not just hearing about it, you're walking in. You probably wouldn't survive in this town. The air smells like ozone and nostalgia, and even the pigeons seem to hum in AM static. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it there? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step through the mist like someone caught between time zones. The rain, it is the slow, soaking kind, the kind that slips past your collar and stays with you for hours. The sidewalk reflects neon puddles, and your shoes squish with each step like regret in a sitcom laugh track. The town doesn't seem to have a name anymore. If it did, the sign rusted off sometime after the moon landing and before TikTok. At the corner of a forgotten street, glowing like a memory someone tried to repress, you spot it, Riverside Radio Repair, spelled out in flickering purple-green, neon that hums like an old video store left on overnight. You weren't planning to go in, but the door is cracked open and there's a sound drifting out. Something familiar but impossible, like a lullaby your grandmother might have hummed while flipping through a Sears catalogue in 1972. Inside, the air smells like hot dust and vacuum tubes. Radios line the walls, mahogany boxes with brass dials, bakelite consoles, reel-to-reels, even a black and white TV that seems to be looping a test pattern from the 1950s. You move slowly, like you've entered someone else's memory. The man behind the counter doesn't greet you. He just nods once, gently, toward the nearest shelf. You place your hand on a Zenith radio, its dial cool and slightly sticky. You twist the knob, a crackle, a hum. Then, a voice rises from the speaker. Billie Holiday, clear, intimate, haunting. You freeze. It's a song you've never heard, but somehow you know every note. You feel it more than hear it, like it's vibrating behind your ribs. It doesn't sound like a live performance or a remaster. It sounds like you're there, in the smoky room, sitting cross-legged on the carpet as she sings just to you. You turn to the man. Is this real? He shrugs. Only plays when it rains. Channel 94.6. Not local. You glance at the dial. 94.6, not even a standard station range, you ask again. But is it real? He scratches his neck with the end of a pencil. Historians are still debating that one. A shiver climbs your spine, not from fear, but something older. The sense that you've just stepped into the wrong part of history, and it noticed. You take a slow walk down the row of radios. Each one seems tuned to its own dimension. One is broadcasting a breaking news bulletin about Pearl Harbor, voiced by an anchor who was confirmed missing since 1943. Another plays a commercial jingle for sunscreen made from crocodile dung. A historical oddity from ancient Egypt that somehow sounds like a local ad from Cleveland in the 60s. You chuckle softly. Of course you did. A moment ago you were dodging puddles. Now you're lost in a time-traveling jukebox. Toward the back of the shop, there's a door. Scribbled on it in faded red marker are the words "opens only during first rains." You reach out. The handle is ice cold, metal forgotten in a thunderstorm. It isn't locked. The door creaks open with a groan that sounds a bit too human. A staircase descends. You hesitate. Rainwater drips from your coat sleeve, trailing down your wrist like a countdown. You descend. The air down there thickens. Ozone and static mix into a texture you can taste, like the smell of an old VHS tape left rewinding for too long. 5 steps down, then 10. Light flickers below. Faintly green. Faintly humming at the bottom sits a single, strange radio. Unlike the others, it's modern. Too modern, you approach. No music, no static, just one thing. It whispers your name. You don't remember telling anyone your name in this town, not even the man upstairs, but the radio says it, clear as day, intoned like a secret only machines should know. You blink. For a moment, you consider that maybe it wasn't your name at all. Maybe it was just a word that sounded like it. But then it says it again. Slower. With an edge of affection. Like a late-night host welcoming a very personal guest. The green light from the radio pulses. You don't touch it. Not yet. You wait, letting your breath catch up with your body. Then, you twist the dial. It doesn't click between stations. It sighs, the kind of sigh a tired elevator makes when no one's talking. The static gives way to a voice. Calm, clear, distorted in a way that feels vintage. This is Station September, coming to you live from before the war. You glance around. There's no mic, no camera, no speakers, just you and the radio, and the strange fact that the voice knows you're listening. It continues. The clouds are low tonight, and the humidity's perfect for memory transmission. If you're hearing this, it means you've crossed the threshold. Welcome back. Back. You stare at the walls. They're lined with shelves. Each shelf holds a single radio. Each has a nameplate below it. Lincoln, Houdini, Tesla, Mildred, even the unclaimed listener, Esterman 1913. One nameplate is blank. You can guess what name belongs there. You look closer at the radio's label. It's written in Cyrillic. The brand is Soviet era. Its dial has no numbers, only colors. Red for danger, blue for memory, green for invitation. You turn it to green again. A new broadcast starts. The year is 1938. You're listening to Orson Welles, not The War of the Worlds, but an alternate broadcast. One where he confirms the invasion, calmly reading off locations, one by one, including the street you're standing on. No one's laughing. You recognize the name of a diner that's 2 blocks away. You step back. Just 1/2 step. You bump into a shelf. A radio falls, hits the floor, doesn't break, just starts playing on its own. This one plays a field recording, rain, hooves, and then Hitler's voice, but speaking flawless English, reading Shakespeare. A weirdly tender rendition of King Lear. You blink. The tone is too perfect. It's as if someone spliced together history with a director's commentary track that no one should have ever found. You look up. The ceiling is dripping. Not from rain. From condensation, like the air itself is remembering. A soft knock comes from upstairs. You freeze. So does the radio. 3 knocks, then silence. You wait for a 4th. There isn't one. You return to the main floor of the shop. The man behind the counter hasn't moved, but something's off. His coffee cup is missing. In its place, a small, rusted World War I dog tag rests in a puddle of rainwater. The name Emil R. boon. You don't say anything, he doesn't either, but he gestures toward a shelf you hadn't noticed before, way in the back, almost hidden by an old vending machine full of defunct 8-track tapes. You walk over. There's a single object on the shelf, a war-era radio compass, one used on U-boats. You pick it up, and instantly a sharp buzz fills your ear, not loud, but intimate, like someone whispering too close. It's broadcasting coordinates. You recognize them. They match a location in Normandy. But the strange part? These coordinates are dated for next week. You glance back at the man. He speaks for the first time. You ever hear the term temporal echo? You shake your head. Happens in the rain. Radio waves loop through time, bounce off moisture, pick up messages that haven't happened yet. Most folks tune them out, but some of us, we listen. His face twitches into a half smile. It's not comforting. You seem like someone who listens. You set the compass down, gently. It doesn't stop buzzing, but now it's playing your voice, or something like it, describing a place you haven't seen yet, a memory you don't remember having. Historians, the man murmurs, are still arguing about whether the future can leave fingerprints. You nod slowly. Not because you understand, but because something inside you already agrees. The rain outside softens, but the neon flicker grows brighter. And for the first time since you entered the shop, you realize the door behind you is gone. You spin around instinctively. Where the entrance used to be, there's now just a tall shelf of wooden cabinets filled with vacuum tubes, repair tags, and boxes labeled with years instead of serial numbers. No door, no knob, just absence, dressed up like furniture. The man behind the counter doesn't blink. Doors only open during the rain, but you're not outside anymore, are you? He says it with the same tone a dentist uses when asking about your flossing habits. Knowingly, and with no hope for honesty, you don't answer. Because now the radios are starting to speak to each other. They don't do it all at once. First, the small Philco in the corner emits a soft chime. Then the Crosley near the ceiling shelf whirs to life, responding with a Morse code pattern. The big RCA in the middle doesn't make a sound, but its dial spins wildly, like it's searching for someone it hasn't heard from in a long, long time. You take a slow step toward the center of the room. The man waves you off. Let them talk. Some of these haven't picked up a clean loop in decades. You pause beside a Zenith transoceanic, where the static slowly organizes itself into something melodic, a jazz riff, short, sharp, familiar. Duke Ellington, you think, but he's playing it wrong, deliberately wrong. The melody resolves downward, instead of up, the time signature skewed. That one's from 43, the man says, leaning back. The version that never aired because the bandleader dropped acid before the set. Only a handful of people ever heard it. You raise an eyebrow. I'm serious, he says, not even smiling. He claimed the trumpet solo let him see radio waves in color, drew a picture of them, looked like spaghetti. Government classified it. You chuckle softly, despite yourself. The kind of chuckle that masks a little panic. You glance to the side and notice for the first time the back wall of the shop is a giant corkboard. Hundreds of yellowed index cards are pinned to it in overlapping layers like feathers. Every card has a name, a frequency, a forecast, and then, below that, an event. You spot one for July 20th, 1969, Buzz Aldrin. Frequency, 131.3 Meishas moon landing. Broadcast, transmission interrupted by unknown tone lasting 3.8 seconds. Recovered here, 1991. Then one for April 15, 1912, Titanic Morse spillover, received during AM broadcast from Chicago, 5 full minutes, ends with the word wrong side. Then, one with your name on it, just your name. Nothing else, it's pinned dead center with a pushpin shaped like a lightning bolt. You pull it free. The moment your fingers touch the paper, a chill runs down your spine, like someone just whispered a dare into your bones. The lights flicker. One of the radios groans, a big chrome beauty in the corner, Art Deco style with velvet knobs, lets out a low hum. You walk toward it. The hum sharpens into a voice, a woman's voice, soft, clear, familiar in a way that scrambles your sense of time. "Don't trust the third chime," she says. Then silence. You stare at the dial. It's glowing amber. There's no station indicator, just a ticking hand like a clock. It turns once, pauses, then chimes. Once, twice. You step back. The third chime never comes. Instead, a sharp tone blares from a speaker behind you, a radio you didn't even notice before. It's tucked beneath the counter, hidden in a drawer. The man doesn't react. He just says, "That means someone crossed over, you should sit down." "Crossed over where?" "Depends," he says, tapping a button on the desk. Could be time, could be town lines, could be someone from 1961 just figured out how to email a ghost. You don't sit. Your knees won't allow it. Instead, you notice a file on the counter. A folder, really, old and cracked with time. The label on the tab reads Project Rainlight. You open it. Inside, blueprints for the shop. Except, the foundation includes underground rooms that don't match what you've seen. Chambers marked with names like Echo Holding, Receiver Pit, and Memory Vault 4B. There's a sketch of the big radio upstairs. The Billie Holiday one. Except in the sketch, it's on fire. People always think radios just broadcast the past, the man says, almost like he's bored. But the past isn't gone, it's waiting. Like a vinyl record with a scratch. Keep spinning and it'll play the same moment until someone flips it. "So what happens if it gets flipped?" you ask. He shrugs. Then it becomes yours. You feel it then. The weight of all these voices. The ones that shouldn't be here. The ones that haven't been born yet. The ones that remember more than they should. They aren't just passing through, they're watching you, and for the first time, you wonder if you've always been here. You reach up to rub your temple, and your fingers come away damp. Not sweat, not rain, just something. A condensation from the air, like your skin is starting to remember things your brain hasn't caught up with yet. You look back down at the Project Rainlight file, but it's gone. In its place is a receipt, yellowed, handwritten, time stamped, June 11th, 1966. 7:01 p.m. Service rendered. Realignment of temporal loop, 1 unit. Paid in static. A scribbled signature underneath H.F. Calhoun. The man notices your face. Yeah, he still owes us interest. But static's harder to store these days. He grins, just a little. Like he's enjoying the confusion melting down your frontal lobe. You wander past a shelf marked mild anomalies. There's a portable radio inside a mason jar filled with brine. The tag reads, "Still playing Queen's Live Aid set before it aired." Next to it, a walkie-talkie on mute with a sticky note. Reply expected from cosmonaut number 12, ETA 2078. And in the far corner, a child's toy radio, the kind with plastic wheels and googly eyes. It hums a lullaby that sounds suspiciously like a reversed version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But there's one exhibit with a velvet rope, a square pedestal. On it, an object sealed in acrylic, a melted transistor radio. No dials, just a black. August 6th, 1945, Hiroshima. Only signal, a child singing. Never explained. You take a breath, careful not to make a sound. The room feels like it might fold in on itself if you cough wrong. That one, the man says, suddenly standing. Behind you, hasn't made a peep in 70 years, but the day it hums again, that's when we worry. You turn to ask why, but he's already walking away, muttering something about inventory. You wander back to the center of the shop. The lights overhead dim slightly like clouds passing over memory. In one corner, a TV set flickers to life. No, one touched it. It shows a beach. Modern. You recognize the plastic signage, the soda brand, the awkward umbrellas, but on screen there's no movement. Except you. You're there, sitting, listening to a radio. You look older, tired, but calm. You're
laughing at something. Then on the TV screen, you turn suddenly
and look directly into the camera. No, not the camera, at you. Back in the shop. The image goes to static. Your legs move before your brain decides to. You find a side hallway with cracked linoleum and blinking exit signs that clearly lead nowhere. There's a door marked with a symbol, not a word, just a crude sketch of a cloud with a keyhole. You open it. Inside, a small office, dusty, low ceiling. A reel-to-reel recorder sits on a desk. It's already playing. Recording log 78, rainlight incident. Subject Narda 34 responds to echoes on a 2.7-second delay. Confirmed temporal displacement limited to memory artifacts. Voice signatures match across iterations. Prognosis, semi-permanent residency. You freeze. Subject 34, you look at the recorder. On the edge, scratched faintly in the plastic housing. This one's yours. You reach to stop the tape. The machine speaks without it. We are not ghosts, it says. We are echoes that got bored of waiting. Outside the room, the rain starts to pour harder, but you can't hear it like before. It's muffled now, like the sound is falling into a lake. The man reappears beside the doorway, carrying a file folder labeled Forecasts. He flips it open and sighs. Storms bigger than we thought. What kind of storm? Not the weather kind. He hands you a photo, black and white, dated 1955. In the picture, this shop, almost identical. Same shelves, same radios, same man behind the counter. And you standing at the counter, you haven't aged a day. That's not possible, you whisper. It never is, he replies. Until the radios tell you otherwise. You want to leave. Your body aches with the urge to move, to escape. But the room won't let you go. You reach out and grab a small handheld radio. Turn the dial wildly. It lands on a signal mid-sentence.
And in today's news, the president has announced a full rollback of time tax initiatives, citing anomalies in memory reconciliation. You click it off, your hand is shaking. And then the third chime rings. You forgot about it, but it didn't.
Forget about you. It echoes through the shop. Once. Twice. Third time, long and low, like the closing bell of something important. You feel the lights dim again. The radios fall silent, and the man turns to you and says, "You're tuned in now. You don't get to untune." Your mouth is dry, drier than it should be, considering how much rain is still hammering the roof above. The silence after the third chime isn't empty. It's expectant, like a breath held too long, or an audience waiting for the next act. You clutch the handheld radio like it might turn into a flashlight or a key or a parachute, but it doesn't. It just hums quietly, like it's trying to remember a song it only heard once. The man, who still hasn't given you a name, walks to the center of the room and opens a trapdoor beneath the rug. You didn't even know the rug could be moved, but he lifts it effortlessly like he's done it 100 times. "We don't usually let people down here," he says. "But then again, we don't usually get people who already left a recording." You hesitate. "What
Happens down there? Depends," he says. "Some people hear what they've forgotten."
Some people hear what they were never meant to know. And once, he adds, a man went down and came back fluent in a dead language. Which language? Spotify Premium Latin, he says, straight-faced. You blink, he doesn't. You follow him down. The stairwell is lined with what looks like noise-proof foam, but older, handmade. Like someone was trying to trap sound instead of block it. The deeper you go, the less you feel your body is solid. It's like your edges have been rounded off, like a cassette tape left too long in a hot car. At the bottom, the room opens into what looks like a broadcast booth, but older, stranger. The mic is cracked, the headphones are rusted, but the on AIR sign above the glass window is glowing softly. He walks behind the glass, flips a few switches on a console that has no labels. "Sit," he says, pointing to the mic. "Don't worry, you've already done this once." "What am I supposed to say?" He doesn't answer, so you sit. The chair squeaks like a sigh. You lean into the mic, the headphones buzz faintly as they power up. Then a tape clicks into motion somewhere behind the wall. You hear your voice. Not now. You. Future you. And
If you're hearing this, it means you made it down. I know it's confusing. You probably still think this is about radios. It's not. It's about timing. It always was. The voice is calm, measured. You sound tired,
but not afraid. There's something you need to know, something they won't tell you upstairs. You glance toward the man through the glass, but he's not looking at you. He's looking at a screen filled with static, occasionally nodding, like it's a meeting with someone only he can see. The shop isn't just listening, the recording continues. It's remembering. Every voice, every message, every echo, it all gets stored somewhere. But lately, some of them have started changing. Some of the broadcasts are starting to predict things not like weather, like behavior. You grip the armrests. It predicted you'd sit here. It predicted you'd grab that handheld radio upstairs. It even predicted you'd think of asking the man's name, but you wouldn't. You hadn't realized you were about to ask it until just then. Your throat tightens. But that's not the important part, your voice says, softer now. The important part is that someone else is listening too, on the other side of the
signal. And they're not from here. The tape clicks off. Silence again. Except the hum in your headphones, still rising. Almost melodic now. Almost like someone singing. The door to the booth opens. The man holds a small envelope in his hand.
It's sealed with a wax stamp shaped like an antenna. "You'll want this," he says, handing it to you. "What is it?" Your response. "But I haven't. You already recorded it." "Back in section 12, probably. We'll get there." You take it. The envelope is warm. He leads you back up the stairs. The rug settles over the trapdoor like a memory. Back in the main room, something has changed. All the radios are off. The TV shows only snow. The neon sign in the window has gone out, even though you can still hear rain. And there, on the counter, is a single sheet of paper, freshly typed. Transmission error. Unknown. Variable. Introduced. Subject deviated from loop requesting manual override. Signature. The listener who forgot. You glance at the man, he looks at the sheet. Sighs. Well,
he mutters. That's new. Then he grins. Congratulations, you've made history, literally.
You don't remember sitting down, but here you are, on a cracked leather bench that wasn't there before, across from a wall of silent radios, each one pointed at you like an audience waiting for a solo. The man's pacing now, not in a nervous way, more like he's waiting for a download bar to hit 99%. So, he says, how do you want to handle this? Handle what? He shrugs. The anomaly. You blink. You're saying I broke something? Not broke, just rerouted, like a song skipping to a different verse. He stops at a shelf labeled Unscheduled Events. Pulls out a box. Inside, a tangle of cassette tapes with handwritten labels, like Dream, January 4th, 1978, and that feeling you forgot something important. He tosses you one labeled simply. You, probably. You hold it in your palm. It hums faintly, like it's purring. You're not the first one to wander off script, he adds. But you're the first who didn't want to go back. You turn the cassette over and find a date scratched into the plastic. Tomorrow's. Then faintly, just under the tape reel, you see your own handwriting. Don't rewind this, just listen. You tuck it into your jacket pocket. You don't even remember writing that, but it feels true. What happens if I don't go back, you ask? The man raises an eyebrow. Back to what? You open your mouth, then close it. You don't remember anymore. Suddenly, one of the radios clicks on, a soft, analog pop, followed by a voice. Attention, all listeners tuned to frequency WNDR. Your regularly scheduled identity has been postponed. Please remain exactly as you are until further instruction. Another voice cuts in, slightly higher pitch, like someone imitating a broadcast. This message brought to you by the Echo Council, because sometimes even ghosts need rules. Then, static. The man mutters, ugh, bureaucrats. Wait, who are they? The Echo Council? He waves it off. Just a bunch of self-appointed librarians with god complexes and bad antenna etiquette. They think they're in charge of time. Are they? Only if you let them be. The power flickers. One of the overhead lights dies with a puff of warm dust. You feel a pressure in the room, like something just arrived, but hasn't introduced itself yet. The man points to a hallway you hadn't seen before. There's a room down there. Haven't used it in years. But I think you're supposed to now. What's in it? Whatever's next. You walk slowly. Your feet echo louder than they should. The hallway is lined with photographs, all black and white, each one slightly out of focus. People standing in front of radios, eyes closed, hands reaching, not toward the dials, but toward the air itself. You turn the final corner. There's a door, painted dark blue, with a copper handle that hums when your hand gets close. You pause. What if I don't open it? Behind you, the man's voice echoes faintly. Then the story stops here. The handle feels warmer than it should. You turn it. The room inside is small, dusty, familiar. There's a desk, a notebook, a radio with the back panel removed, and a bed. It's your handwriting on the notebook. The first line reads, "If you're reading this, you're almost free." The second line Do not trust the voice that offers to finish the story for you. And then the radio crackles back to life.
Welcome back, listener. We missed you. The tone is warm, nostalgic, too perfect. It says your name again, but this time it's wrong. Off by one syllable, off in the way only something pretending would miss. Your heart pounds. You look back at the notebook. More handwriting has appeared, as if freshly written. They can only guess. But you? You remember. Keep going. The loop isn't closed yet. You back away from the radio. Outside, the rain sounds different. Not like water. More like...
Applause. Slow. Rhythmic. As if someone, somewhere, is clapping for the fact that you're still here. And maybe always were. You don't sleep. You lie on the bed in that dusty little room, eyes half shut. But sleep won't come. The mattress is too soft, or too loud, or too aware. And the air hums, not just with electricity, but with something that feels like memory, in vapor form. The notebook sits on your chest, heavier than it should be. You flip it open again, half hoping the ink has rearranged itself overnight. It has. Section 7, begin transmission. You sit up. The radio at the desk flickers to life again, without
static, without hesitation.
Good morning, traveller. The year is irrelevant. The weather is static with a chance of recursion. Please adjust your expectations accordingly. You chuckle, but not comfortably. The voice isn't hostile. It's too polite, like a GPS that knows your final destination better than you do. You lean forward, twist the dial, and suddenly, you're somewhere else entirely. The sound hits first. Horses, hammers, marching feet.
A voice yells something in French. Another responds in English. Cannons screaming. And then silence. Then another voice, calm and crackling. You are tuned to frequency 1776. Tonight's program, the history that couldn't be told until you arrived.
The broadcast plays what sounds like a field report from the American Revolutionary War, but told from the perspective of a British spy embedded in Boston, whose real job was to record rebel broadcasts hidden inside weather reports. The narrator describes strange things, invisible messages coded into foghorns, a colonial tavern that never ages, and a man who walks from one town to the next, speaking only in jingles that wouldn't exist for another 2 centuries. Historians, the voice concludes, are still debating whether these phantom frequencies shaped events, or merely recorded them. The answer is probably yes. You grin. There it is again, that tight little paradox wrapped in soft cotton to press your palm against the speaker grill. The warmth feels personal, and then the voice says something that freezes you. This next recording was pulled from an unnumbered file
marked with your name. A new tape clicks on, a conversation begins. Your voice and another. One you've never heard, but somehow know. It's a woman's voice, sharp, kind, wry. You always think the story starts when you walk through the door, she says. Doesn't it, you ask on the tape? No, it starts when you don't leave. So what is this place then? She laughs softly. You know the phrase liminal space? Yeah. This is where it sleeps. Click. Silence. The air around you feels too still, like the room is watching. You turn the dial again. Another
frequency. Another fragment of history. This time, Berlin, 1942. A secret program. Radio technicians smuggling coded lullabies to resistance fighters hidden inside children's broadcasts. Songs that, when slowed down and reversed, spell out safe house coordinates. The official record says the broadcasts were propaganda. The radios here disagree. You mutter under your breath, how much of history is just what survived? From somewhere in the room, a tinny voice replies, only the parts with good signal. You rise from the desk. The notebook pulses faintly. A new message appears in the margins. Check the mirror. There's no mirror in this room, but you remember seeing one earlier in the hallway by the corkboard wall. You slip out, quietly, as if the building might notice. Down the hall, past the
rows of dusty photographs, you find it. A narrow, warped mirror, crooked in its frame. You stare into it. At first, nothing seems off.
Just your face. Tired. Unsure, but then you spot the radio on the shelf behind you. The one in the mirror is different. Not just a different model, a different frequency. You turn around. The real radio shows 95.4. The one in the mirror shows 107.7. You reach toward it. In the mirror, your reflection does not move. It just watches, and then it speaks. Don't trust the version of you that wants to forget. You stumble back. The mirror flickers, and now you're alone again. Except the voice behind you, not the man, not the radio. Just a whisper, like it came from the wiring in the walls. They're
listening, but not all of them are kind. You return to the main room. The man is waiting, holding a fresh cup of coffee, steam rising like a signal. You met her, didn't you? He asks. You nod slowly. I think so. She's one of...
The clearer echoes. Been trying to help people loop out. Loop out? He stirs the coffee. Most people loop in, come here, hear the transmissions, get spooked, leave, forget. And me? You're still here. He hands you a slip of paper. One line is typed on it. Next transmission begins when you stop asking questions. You raise your eyebrows. Is that a joke? That, he says, is entirely up to you. You fold the slip of paper slowly like it might fold you back. Next transmission begins when you stop asking questions. The line plays over and over in your head, not like a warning, but like a riddle from someone who smiles too often and blinks too little. The man watches you, still sipping that coffee which never seems to cool. You finally ask quietly, "What happens if I don't stop asking?" He grins. Then the radio starts asking back. Before you can reply, the power blinks, not off, just asks permission. And suddenly, the whole shop pulses with a low tone, not a sound exactly, more like a shared breath between the walls. The man lifts his eyes and mutters, "They're early." You turn. The radios are lighting up, one by one, not playing anything, just turning on dials glowing, hums rising, and then, in perfect unison, they whisper your name. There's a term for this somewhere deep in your memory. Auditory spill. When too many frequencies stack and a word or phrase accidentally forms like a glitch that learns how to speak. But this isn't random. Each radio says it slightly differently. Some add a second syllable. Some pronounce your name like it's a question. One, you swear, adds an accent from a place you've never been, but feels painfully familiar. You turn to the man. "They're sinking," he says flatly. "You should probably sit down." "Why?" "Because you're about to hear something no one's supposed to hear twice." One radio, just left of the counter, crackles. Its voice, older than vinyl, softer than dust, begins to tell a story. July 9th, 1850, a message arrives in an upstate New York telegraph office. It's addressed to no one, signed by someone who doesn't exist. It reads only, "We've looped again. They're listening from inside." Another voice picks up, like passing a torch. In 1921, a boy in Michigan built a radio from scrap parts. On its first night, it played his grandmother's final words. 20 years before she died, another. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, a signal jammed military channels. It played a lullaby in reverse. Historians still debate whether it delayed the launch sequence or was simply a rogue loop, a fourth voice. This one sounds like you, aged 30 years. Every loop has a center, and every center has a listener. Guess who that is now? You sit or fall. You can't quite tell. The man doesn't comfort you. He just pours a second cup of coffee and places it gently on the floor beside your foot. Center's warming up, he mutters. Then to no one in particular. Well, let's see what they do with it. The lights in the ceiling flicker once, then go out, but the shop stays bright, lit only by the glowing dials of every radio now fully alive, casting shadows that stretch and sway with no source. And then a voice fills the room. Unified, unnatural, warm, too warm. We are the archive. We do not rewind. We remember what others choose to forget. You are now our receiver. You try to speak, you try to move, but your limbs are full of fog and dial tone. The voice continues. You have passed the chimes. You have resisted deletion. You have heard your own echo and did not look away. Now you will speak. Now you will broadcast. And just like that, you're alone in the room again. The man is gone. The shop is silent. Only one thing remains. A small tape recorder, already recording, already red light blinking. You don't remember pressing play. But your voice is on it, saying words you haven't said yet. Hey guys, tonight we're tuning into something different. Your hands shake, you pick up the mic, and somewhere a frequency tunes back. The red light blinks steadily, bright, slow, calm. It doesn't blink like a warning, it blinks like a pulse, like a heartbeat. And it's yours now. You stare down at the tape recorder, watching your voice unfold on magnetic ribbon, second by second. Even though you haven't said anything yet, and yet, somehow, it's already full of your voice. Hey guys, tonight we're tuning into something different. You press stop. The room does not approve. The lights overhead flicker like scolded candle flames. One of the radios emits a short burst of sharp static, like a cough from someone who doesn't enjoy being interrupted. You press rewind instead. A soft, mechanical whir. You listen. So if you're hearing this, it means the loop held. I'm you. Not from your future. From one of the other versions. The one that kept talking. The one that didn't stop asking questions. And now we've been recorded. You pause the tape because now you remember. You remember sitting in this shop once before, years ago, or decades, or possibly 5 minutes from now. You remember the smell of warm dust, the way the radios leaned forward like hungry listeners. You remember the man handing you a tape labeled "you," probably, and laughing at the phrase temporal echo. But most of all, you remember the first time you said it out loud. I think this place records people more than signals, and the radios all hummed in agreement. You're not sure how long you sit there with the paused tape in your hand and your reflection just barely visible in the chrome paneling of the nearest radio, watching you like it wants to say something, but isn't quite brave enough to speak first. Then the TV flickers. You didn't turn it on, it just begins. It shows the inside of the shop. Not live. Not quite memory. A moment caught in a loop, playing back. You, weeks ago maybe, stepping through the front door for the first time, wet from the rain. Curious. Unaware. You look terrified, you look free. And then, just as suddenly, the image cuts out, replaced by white letters over a black screen. Your loop has been archived. Broadcast mode ready. A high-pitched tone pulses from every radio in the room. Once, twice, then nothing. You feel it in your chest, like a tuning fork. Like the next sound belongs to you, so you speak. Softly, carefully. Testing. The radios don't respond, but the lights warm. You try again. If you're listening, I think you've already been here. Something shifts. Small radio by the counter clicks on. It plays your voice. The words you just spoke, but slightly distorted. Echoed. Like they'd been played before, or translated and then retranslated back. You laugh, just once. It feels good. The room seems to appreciate it. Then, a knock. Not from the front door. From beneath the floorboards. Rhythmic, soft like fingertips. You look at the rug. You remember the trapdoor. You remember going down. You remember what waited for you then, but this time, you're not alone. Another knock. Then a voice. Open it. Not a demand, not a plea, a tone you can't quite name. Like a librarian waking you up at closing time. You pull the rug back. The trapdoor opens without resistance. A glow shines upward. Not white, not green, but radioactive amber, the color of old tubes warming up in a storm. You descend. This time, the basement is different. The broadcast booth is gone. In its place, a circle of radios, different shapes, styles, eras, arranged like old gods around a campfire. In the center, a microphone suspended by wires, floating, waiting. You step into the
Middle. No hums, no static, just expectation. The notebook reappears in your pocket. A new line written in your hand. Say what you were afraid to say the first time. You grip the mic. The radios tilt forward.
Yes, they tilt, just slightly. Mechanically, like heads cocking to listen. You take a breath. I think I've always been here. Silence. Then 100 radios click at once, like a standing ovation of static. One voice, layered and ancient and precise, speaks. Confirmation received, identity fractured, signal stabilized, transmission accepted. The light above pulses once more, and in that moment, you're not just the listener, you are the station. You stand in the center of the basement, inside the ring of radios, still breathing, still present, but changed. The microphone before you hums with energy that's not quite sound, more like pressure or prophecy. A low pulse spreads through. The floor beneath your feet, like the building itself, is tuning in. And then without any signal cue or countdown, you begin to broadcast. You don't mean to, the words just come. Hey guys, tonight we're not just telling a story, we are the story. You ever think about how radios don't just send, they receive, and every time they receive, they remember, they don't erase, they layer. Your voice is calm, steady, maybe a little too steady. You feel it leaving your mouth and echoing back, not through sound, but through recognition. The radios flash one by one, like fireflies in perfect sync. There's a repair shop in a town with no name. It only opens when it rains. And when you walk in, you're not walking into a place. You're walking into
a signal that doesn't know it's a place. The notebook in your pocket vibrates. You open it mid-sentence. New writing scrawls itself live as you speak. You're narrating yourself. Keep going. They need to hear it. Even if they don't know.
they're listening yet. Especially then you grip the mic tighter. The light in the room begins to change. It shifts from amber to violet to a shade of green that doesn't exist in nature, except maybe inside an old cathode ray tube. You feel warm, not in your skin, in your memory. You keep talking. This shop records more than radios. It records choices, little ones, big ones. The moment you decided to turn left instead of right. The time you remembered a stranger's birthday, but forgot your own. It collects the version of you that wanted to disappear, and the one that didn't. And maybe, just maybe, it sends those versions out to find their way home. The ring of radios tightens slightly, almost imperceptibly. A radio from 1984 hisses softly and switches to a jazz station that doesn't exist anymore. The small toy radio from earlier begins to spin its dial like a compass, stopping on a single word. Now. You close your eyes, speak one last sentence into the microphone. I'm not here by accident. A pause, then, and neither are you. All the radios shut off at once. Darkness falls, not sudden, not total, just gentle. The kind of darkness that doesn't ask questions. You open your eyes. You're no longer in the circle. You're sitting on the floor of the main room. Everything is exactly where you left it. The lights are steady. The rain still patters softly outside. The man is at the counter, sipping coffee like nothing happened. You stand up slowly. Did it work? He shrugs. Depends what you were trying to do. I was broadcasting, I think. Yeah, he says, nodding. We caught some of it. You lost the thread near the end, but that's okay. The radios will fill in the blanks. They do that? Sure, they're generous. He slides a small cassette across the counter towards you. The label says, Transmission number 1, the one. That stayed. You take it. So what now, you ask? Now, he smiles. Now, you do what all broadcasters do, which is, wait and listen. You look toward the door. It's back. Open. The rain has stopped. On the threshold, you hesitate, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Was I supposed to come here? The man shrugs again. Everyone who walks in thinks that's the question. It never is. Then what's the question? He looks up at you. Calm, tired, maybe proud. The real question is, will you remember
what you heard? You step out into the street. The door closes behind you with a soft click. You turn around. The shop is gone. Just a brick wall, slick with rain, under a sky full of radio silence.
The brick wall is still warm from the storm. You place your palm against it, half expecting to feel a heartbeat, or maybe hear that low radio hum, but there's nothing. Just rough texture and a faint smell of ozone. The street is quiet now, too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels arranged, like someone muted the background noise of the world so you could think. You step back. You look for the shop sign, Riverside Radio Repair, but there's only faded graffiti, something about time and thunder and... No, really, on the brick, just barely legible under peeling paint, is the phrase, you were here before you arrived. You laugh, a small, dry sound. You walk. The town isn't empty, but the people don't.
Look quite real. Not in the uncanny way, not mannequins, but more like memories that got tired of being forgotten.
Faces blur at the edges, footsteps don't echo, conversations are just outside of hearing. You pass a man feeding pigeons. His radio dangles from a belt clip, playing a song you know for a fact hasn't been released yet. He doesn't look up. You pass a laundromat window. Inside, a woman is dancing alone. The radio beside her spins between stations, and she moves perfectly to every shift. like she's choreographing fate. And you pass a newsstand, but the headlines don't track. President forgets entire decade. First baby born knowing Morse code. Local man claims radio shop saved his future wife. You pause at that one. The photo is blurry, but the man looks like you. Only older, eyes deeper, a slight tilt to the shoulders like someone used to waiting. The shop is real, you think, but it might not always be here. Eventually, your feet carry you back to where this started, a bench, same corner, same storm-stained awning. Your reflection hovers in the shop window that no longer leads anywhere. You sit. For the first time, you hear nothing. No radios, no whispers, no chimes. Just you, and then something strange, a voice. But not from a speaker, from inside your coat. You reach into your pocket. The cassette from before, transmission number 1, the one that stayed, is gone. In its place, a small portable radio, tuned to 94.6. You never turned it on, but it speaks. We interrupt your regularly scheduled silence with a message from yourself. Thank you for staying, for listening, for not flinching when the mirror looked back. If you're hearing this, you are now part of the signal. You always say,
Were? Tell someone, or don't, they won't believe you. But the radios will.
The radio goes silent again. Then, a single note plays. Familiar. Soft. Like the first note of a song you always meant to write. You look up. The street is full of people now. Real people, real sounds. The town has color again. The repair shop is gone, but in its place is something else. A phone booth, glass-walled, empty. A small sign taped inside. Frequency booth, leave your message after the tone. You stand, walk toward it, slide inside, and wait. The dial tone hums in your ear, steady, unbothered. Then the light blinks red. Recording, you speak. Hey guys, tonight's story isn't finished. Not yet, not really, because stories don't end. When the last word is spoken, they end when someone stops remembering. And I'm not ready to stop. You hang up, step out. The town looks normal now, almost boring. Perfect, you smile, because now you know something no one else on this street does. You were a listener, and now you're the one they'll listen to next. You walk away from the booth, and the streets fold back into place like someone smoothing out a wrinkled map. The sky is clearing, clouds retreat slowly, like stage curtains at the end of an encore. The light returns, filtered and soft, like,
It's been warmed by memory. Your footsteps echo now. That wasn't happening before. There's gravity to you, weight that wasn't there earlier. You're carrying something invisible, a transmission, and someone's going to receive it. As you
move through the town, radios begin to react. Not all at once, not obviously, but subtly. A speaker in a barbershop cuts from a baseball game to static the moment you pass. A parked car's FM signal blips into Morse code for a heartbeat. And in a record store window, a display model quietly plays back a clip of your own voice from the booth. Stories don't end when the last word is spoken. You stop in front of the window. Inside, the clerk looks up, freezes, then slowly lowers his headphones. His lips move, but you can't hear him. He mouths one word. Broadcast, you continue down the block. The scenery shifts again, gently. That diner that used to look run down, now it's vibrant, like it's being remembered by someone who loved it. That bus stop where no one ever stood. Now there's an old woman feeding crows, her transistor radio balanced on her knee, playing a lullaby in a key you didn't know radios used. You sit next to her, say nothing, but she smiles. "You're leaking," she says, like it's a compliment. "Leaking what?" "Your frequency." Happens after the first broadcast. It's like blood in the water, but the water's made of old songs and forgotten phone numbers. She hands you a peppermint, wrapped in paper, printed with musical notes. "Don't worry," she adds. "You'll stabilize, or you won't. Either way, it's interesting." You nod. The radio on her knee starts playing static in waltz time. You stand again, because now you know where you're going. The hill at the edge of town is taller than it used to be. There's a structure at the top, a low-roofed shack that once held antenna parts. You remember it vaguely, like a dream someone else had and left behind for you. As you climb, the wind changes pitch, not in sound, in emotion. By the time you reach the top, you're humming a tune you don't recognize, but you know all the words. Inside the shack, a desk, a microphone, and a logbook. Hundreds of pages, filled with names, times, phrases like subject 42, loop maintained. Subject 77, signal disrupted, re-entry advised. Subject U, loop fractured, broadcast authorized. You pick up the pen and sign your name. Underneath, you write. Broadcast continues. The moment the ink dries, the microphone glows. You lean in, speak into it. This time, no script, no borrowed memories, just you. "Hey, if you're hearing this, it means the signal found you. It always does." This isn't about ghosts, or radios, or even stories. It's about remembering that you were more than just a listener. You were the voice that broke the loop, and you still are. You pause, then whisper. Keep listening. Keep telling. Keep tuning in. The broadcast ends, the red light fades, but the tower hums on. Back down the hill, the town is still. But from windows and car, radios and headphone wires, your message begins to replay gently, slowly, like fog creeping in, or a memory returning to its rightful place. You watch the town below you light up, not with electricity, with recognition. You smile, close the logbook, and leave the shack behind. You don't need to say goodbye, you're still broadcasting, and someone, somewhere, just started listening. You descend the hill with lighter steps than you remember having. The air feels tuned to your frequency now, like it's humming along with your pulse. Down below, the town breathes. Not in gasps or sighs, but in gentle, rhythmic waves, like it knows the signal is moving through its streets, threading through telephone wires, bouncing off wet rooftops and tin signs. You walk past the bookstore. A child is inside, seated on the floor, headphones over her ears, smiling faintly. Her notebook is open, filled not with drawings or spelling words, but with waveforms, tiny arcs rising and falling like ocean tides. Her pencil is labeling them. One of them has your name. You don't stop, but you do tip your head slightly as you pass the glass. She tips hers back. No words, just two transmitters in sync. At the far end of town, you find the radio tower, not the one from the shack. This one is real, tall, rusted, wired into the clouds. And standing at its base is a man. Not the man, not the one from the shop. Someone else. He's dressed in a coat made of patchwork frequency labels, and his left ear is replaced by a dial. "You broadcasting?" he asks. "I think so," you answer. "Good. We've been waiting for someone to reroute the loop. The Echo Council's been lazy." "They know I'm out?" "They will." He turns to go, then stops. "They'll send something soon, a voice that feels like home. It won't be." Don't let it finish its sentence. Why? Because because once it finishes, you won't know which version of you got left behind, then he's gone. The tower groans, not from wind, from expectation. A single light at the top pulses 3 times. You don't need to count. You already know what it means. You raise your portable radio, turn the dials slowly. Tweet 6, you press your ear to the speaker. Nothing, then. Hello again, traveller. You left the door open. Your grip tightens. The voice is gentle, familiar, even comforting. It sounds like your favorite teacher. Your mother on her best day. The version of yourself that never made any mistakes. You've done well, it says. But stories don't belong to their tellers. They belong to the loop. Come back inside. Let us shelve you properly. You speak before it can continue. No, you can't. No. There are
rules, then change them. Silence, then. Very well, but they'll hear you now. Good. Are you ready? I've been ready. You walk to the tower's base. There's a panel.
A keyhole shaped like a lightning bolt. You reach into your pocket, find a key you don't remember receiving, but it fits. Of course it fits. You turn it. The tower lights up, all at once, from base to tip. A pulse of light shoots upward like a flare that doesn't need rescue, only recognition. Across town, radios wake, in attics, in basements, in glove compartments, and long-forgotten drawers, in dreams, in memories, in echoes. And all of them say the same thing. We hear you. You're not afraid. You're not alone. You were never either of those things, not really. Because the repair shop still opens when it rains, and the radios never stop listening, not to you, not to anyone. And now, they're ready to speak back. The tower hums long after the light fades. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, like the rhythm of breathing you forgot you were doing. The world isn't quiet anymore, it's tuned. You can feel it under your skin, behind your eyes, humming down your spine in Morse code you haven't deciphered yet. But know you will. You step away from the base of the tower, and that's when the rain returns. But this time, it's not a storm, it's a soft drizzle, like the town is exhaling, like it's finally letting go of all the frequencies it's been holding. You walk slowly. The town has changed again, but not visibly. It's something in the shadows. They move more naturally now. Something in the faces. They don't flicker like static when you pass. And the radios? They're still. Calm. Not
off.
Just listening. Because now you're the one broadcasting, and it's not just your voice they're hearing anymore. It's every version of you that ever picked up a signal. You find the bench again, the one across from the shop. Only now, there's
no wall, no sign, no neon flicker. But where the shop once stood, there's a puddle reflecting you, and in the puddle,
for just a second, you see the storefront again. Glowing, alive, inside, the man is still behind the counter. He looks up and winks. Then the puddle ripples, and it's gone. A child walks past you, dragging a pull-string toy radio. It plays a voice. That's definitely not hers. Did you know radios never forget? She turns and says, perfectly serious, neither should you. You nod, 'cause that's the whole point, isn't it? That's why this story keeps coming back in new forms, through static and half-finished thoughts. You were never meant to remember everything. You were just meant to remember enough. Back at the phone booth, the light is blinking again. Not red this time. Blue, you step inside. No voice greets you, just an open line. Waiting, you lift the receiver, and for the first time, you don't say anything. You listen. At first, there's nothing. Then breathing. Then your own voice. But not now you. Not past you. The you that didn't forget. "Hey," it says. If you're hearing this, then the signal worked. You
made it out, you stayed in, you looped, you fractured. And somehow you still held the thread. It's not about knowing what happened, it's about knowing you were part of it. That your signal mattered, that you changed the frequency just enough. So if someone else is tuning in now, if someone's about to take the first step into that rain-soaked little shop, tell them. You lean into the receiver and whisper, it's real, you're not crazy. And you're going to remember more than you think.
You hang up the phone, step outside, and for the first time, you're not looking for the shop. You're looking for someone else who hasn't found it yet, someone walking in the rain, someone with that look on their face, the one you used to wear. You sit down on the bench and wait. The radio in your pocket clicks on by itself. A voice comes through, not yours, not the man's, not even the shop. Just someone asking softly, "Hey guys, tonight, are we still on the air?" You smile, lean back, let the rain fall and answer quietly, "We never left." The rain slows to a whisper. It doesn't stop. Not quite. But it changes. Light now, softer, like it's being respectful. Like even the weather knows something has concluded, but not ended. You sit on the bench, the signal still gently buzzing, in your coat pocket, and you realize this is the first moment you've truly been still. Not frozen, not trapped in a loop, just still. No tension in your shoulders, no waiting for the next twist. The transmission has quieted, and for the first time since stepping into the shop, the silence doesn't feel like absence. It feels like permission. Across the street, a neon light flutters back to life, but it's not the repair shop. It's a laundromat now, or a bakery, or maybe it's just pretending. A sign in the window reads, "Closed when dry, open when remembered." A kid on a scooter passes by, humming the Billie Holiday song you heard your first night in the shop, the one that never existed. You hum with him. You don't need to ask how he knows it. The air carries things now. You check the notebook again. There are no new messages, just a single page, blank, but for the words at the bottom. You've reached the end of the known signal. What happens next is up to you. You close it, place it gently in the space. Beside you, on the bench, like a keepsake for someone else who might need it. The kind of gift that looks small but turns heavy once you understand what it holds. A bus pulls up. No markings, no number. The doors stay closed. You nod at the driver, they nod back. Sometimes a story doesn't take you anywhere. It just reminds you how to walk forward again. And you do. Not with purpose, not with fear, but with rhythm. You don't know where the shop will appear next. Maybe a hotel room. A parking garage radio that won't turn off. A dial-up modem shrieking at midnight in a town that no longer has internet. Maybe it will be in someone else's voice, whispering from a place they don't remember entering. Maybe it'll be in yours. One last time, the portable radio in your pocket crackles. But no words this time, just a soft click. Like a tape stopping. Like someone saying, "That's enough." You smile and you whisper to no one in particular, "Thanks for listening." Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of the world settle around you. Let the story sink, not end. No more loops. No more riddles, just the quiet, steady presence of having been heard, of still being on the air, even when you're not speaking.